Hello and welcome back to another video in the world of Monster Hunter. Today I have some Charge Blade meta alternatives for you, I believe. And as promised as well, I did do a little bit of playing around with Toukasharla Gamma armor to see what I can come up with. Now, I think this first build I have that I'm about to show you is actually pretty good. It has higher EFR than the meta standard, and all you are sacrificing is a magazine decoration, which I don't feel is too bad, particularly on smaller monsters. Why? Simply because typically that last file will miss anyway. The only thing you're actually going to be losing from this then will be the 3-second charge time on your shield. It will now go down to 2 minutes 30 seconds. Anyway, let's have a quick gander at the skills and equipment. Now, this build is pretty much the exact same as what I have always shown and typically use as Charge Blade. Taroth Strong Arm Horn with an affinity and a health augment, Kaiser Gamma Helmet with Tenderizer and Mighty, Draken Alpha Chest with Elementless, Toukasharla Gamma Gloves with 3 attack decorations, Damascus Beta Waist with 3 artillery, and then Dante Boots with an attack and Iron Wall, and then rounding it all off we have our Handicraft 3 Charm. So as you can see, we pretty much have all of the skills there. The only thing that has changed is we now have critical boost, which will help us with the higher EFR with our standard slicing attacks, and we are missing magazine. That is it. Now, I really do like this build. I've been using it typically on smaller monsters where all of those files won't typically hit anyway, and I just have to remember that I don't have those lovely extra 30 seconds on my shield charge. So generally speaking, this build is actually worth it. It hits a little bit harder in terms of your standard axe or sword attacks, but it does fall behind a little bit on the super amped elemental discharge because, like I said, you are missing that one file. So again, like I said, if you are going to use this, because it has higher defense, not by much, I'm aware of diminishing returns, but you are pushing 506 defense, which bragging rights, why not? So on to the next build. Now, I am absolutely determined to try and find a way to have Master's Touch be remotely effective, although just because of Charge Blade mechanics it doesn't seem that's going to happen, just because blocking everything decreases sharpness, and there's the way in which you typically play Charge Blade. You just sort of hack and slash in random locations. You're not really weak spot sniping, as it is lovingly known, to maximize your sharpness, because you're working towards those crits, and weakness exploit is broken. Well, not broken, it's just really bloody useful. So I have this build, skills and equipment. Now obviously this is all going to be about the Kaiser Gamma, so let's have a gander. Taroth Strong Arm Horn with an affinity and a health augment, Kaiser Gamma Helmet with magazine and tenderizer, Kaiser Gamma Chest with an elementless, Toukasharla Gamma Gloves with 3 attack, Toukasharla Gamma Waist with an attack and an expert, Kaiser Gamma Boots with tenderizer and iron wool, and then finally your artillery charm 3. Now we have had to replace the handicraft charm just for the waist, which does give us 2 points of handicraft, so we're not completely relying on Master's Touch. We still do have some handicraft in there, and it has dropped it from 60 points of blue to 50, which I don't feel is too bad. But as you can see, EFR and affinity are slightly, just ever so slightly under. But for those of you paying attention, we have latent power. So what happens when that activates? Well, you get this: 399 effective raw, 75% affinity. Yeah, and it's also really defensive. I made the mix up with Toukasharla originally to try and be more defensive, but this has ended up being more defensive. Anyway, this is actually, when you have latent power, bloody powerful. The only issue with it at the moment is quite simply relying on latent power, because particularly if you're playing in solo, the moment the monster gets angry you pretty much KO it, and our latent power is now worn off. It's really kind of irritating. So yeah, along with, I kind of found that Master's Touch wasn't really too beneficial whatsoever, so I might actually have to give up on this weird little escapade of mine, because I'm failing. I'm honestly going absolutely nowhere near it, and it's really bothering me. Sad face panda coming up. Sad face panda. But do not fret, because I have one more build for you. I mean, where would you be without me? Probably getting on with your lives, enjoying life, and, you know, doing something productive rather than listening to this. Anyway, the final build that I have, and I am honestly really enjoying this one. I think this is possibly one of the best builds I've magicked out of absolutely thin air and just pissing around with random things. Anyway, let's have a gander at the skills and equipment. Now, this actually took a while for me to get used to using, because it sort of tricks you into thinking you've got something you don't, because it's basically the exact same as the previous build I have just shown, but we've removed the Kaiser Gamma boots and we're running with the Dante Beta instead. Now, straight off, we have the exact same affinity as the standard meta, but we are 3 points below on the EFR. So yeah, this is going to be interesting, considering we also have latent power. Anyway, Tara Strong Arm Horn with health and affinity, Kaiser Gamma with magazine and mighty, Kaiser Gamma chest with elementless, Toukasharla Gamma gloves with 3 attack, Toukasharla Gamma waist with 2 expert, Dante Alpha boots with attack and iron wall, and finally that artillery charm. But what about that latent power? I can hear you screaming it. I can't. I'm safe at home from you people. Well, here we go. 403 effective raw with 80% affinity. Yeah, the only thing that we're really going to be suffering with is we only have 50 points of blue, which is 10 below the standard, and we're not going to have any form of Master's Touch to try and compensate for that extra 10 points, mainly because it's just so damn sporadic to even try and get or work with. But honestly, this is at the moment my kind of new favourite build. It really does work better against monsters that are a little bit more angry, such as Nergigante, Basil, Odogaron, or monsters that don't tend to get as angry as often. I wouldn't say it's not worth it, but you're really trying to rely on that latent power. So until latent power comes up, you're a little bit below the meta, but as soon as latent power comes up, oh my god, you blast it out of the water. So yeah, these are some of the more interesting and wacky Charge Blade builds I have come up with. I find that they're actually really quite effective. I hope you do too. I'm actually kind of really getting back into my Charge Blade. I've been a heavy bowgun main for so long, but Charge Blade, I'm just loving it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you guys pretty darn soon. If you like my content, do leave a like, maybe even subscribe. It is free. Have fun, good luck, and I'll catch you guys pretty darn soon. Ta-ra!